This is Sybert signing in to Kane's Wrath on the map tournament Dustbowl with MasterLeaf as the Psy and Skrin on the top side versus Green Zero as the Green Zocom. Yes, this is going to be MasterLeaf versus Green Zero, some of the top casters in the Kane's Wrath scene for sure, but also some of the top players in the Kane's Wrath scene. And of course, depending on who you ask, they would give you a different ranking for each one of these players, but it's kind of just hilarious for anyone who doesn't know the, I don't know too much of the relationship between these two players, but of course, Green Zero, a little bit known for calling out MasterLeaf as being a cheap player, and so there's lots of drama behind the scenes. Green Zero traditionally a very standard player, MasterLeaf traditionally known as a bit of a lame player, but that is of course up to individual decisions, because you know what, some players they like to play a little rushy style. These two players are about as far apart on the play spectrum as you can get almost, and we'll have to see which one of them is able to come out. Was this simply a brag replay upload, or is this actually a good game between these two giants of casting? We've got Green Zero going to be going for that Harvester, and MasterLeaf is going to be going for a Harvester as well. So far, we don't have any sort of crazy rushes or any sort of silly all-ins just yet, but I'm of course waiting for it in case it does happen. However, yeah, like I said, these two players are going to be opening up pretty standard. Both of them going to be grabbing one Tiberium Spike, and it looks like additional refineries. This is pretty much as standard as you can get. They didn't even have to power micro, and I believe both of these players are playing random, but I could be wrong. So it is going to be a random Skrin versus random Zocom as far as I know. The expansion timings at virtually the exact same time. These two players are playing basically the exact same game with the exact same build. Fancy that. We'll have to see. Is Bike Rush, is MasterLeaf going to be going for those Harvesters? Yes, he is, adding on a 5th Harvester. So these two players both playing economical, neither one of them really going for that aggression. Instead, they're just getting a couple of scouting squads out. They really just want to see, hey, I'm playing economical. Are you playing economical? Are you going for something crazy? Oh, you got 5 and 2 and you're expanding, so everything is 100% standard. It is as economical as you can really get. Okay, not quite, but pretty close. However, these two players setting themselves up for a macro game, and it's just kind of nice to see a straight-up standard match after all of those all-ins from the tournament. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen those games, there's at least one all-in, I will tell you that. But I mean, if Bike Rush is playing, then you should know that there is going to be an all-in anyways. So the expansion is going to be getting set up for both of these players. Very similar Harvester timings as well. I have a feeling that these two players were just about in a Skype call being like, alright, I'm going to send my Harvester over to the expansion. Now you send it at the same time. And they were essentially just mirroring each other, probably sharing screens as well. I mean, it's just like they are. Their timings are very, very similar. However, we do have the Nerve Center set down, and 4 Seeker Tanks going to be heading out across the map for MasterLeaf. He wants to begin his first poke, see if he can do any damage. We have the Orca transition for Green Zero, going to be going likely for those Orcas. He's also getting AP ammo, so it could be faster Hammerheads. The Seeker Tanks should do pretty well versus either, although Orcas could do some serious damage to this attack. We do have Rocket Troopers, a good choice from Green Zero. He's going to be able to hold off these Seeker Tanks without too much problem. As you can see, MasterLeaf might actually decide to sweep into the expansion. Yeah, that's a good idea from him, because he's like, okay, you've got defense at your main. Well, let's see if we can do some damage at your expansion. And he should be spotting the airfield relatively soon and seeing, aha, that is what you have planned behind closed doors. And oh, 1,500 credits gets thrown down there for MasterLeaf. We'll have to see if Green Zero ends up losing so much. He was going for composite armor, AP ammo at the same time, and now he has some pretty serious ceramic armor. Composite armor is the infantry upgrade. Now he has some pretty serious Hammerhead firepower going on. Looks like he is going to be getting some rocket Hammerheads. and going to be going for a pretty good combo versus really any matchup, but particularly versus Skrin. If they want to end up going for these Storm Riders, you don't do too poorly versus those. If they end up going for a strong ground army, well, suddenly you have a very mobile air army that can just about contend their ground army, although we do have mass gunwalkers with the attenuated force fields now done, and of course a couple of Devour tanks mixed in just for good measure. MasterLeaf going to be looking to sell off one of these refineries, I would think. Green Zero should be doing the same as well, transferring a harvester or two over to the second base, getting that natural fully saturated and really setting up their eco, because now those main fields are completely dried up and these players are going to be looking to reestablish their economies. Going to be able to pick off a single Gunwalker? Probably no, he wasn't actually able to even pick off that Gunwalker. Able to do a little bit of damage and able to take down the force fields, do some hull damage against some of these units. Going to be making any future engagements a little bit easier. Of course, you have to be very careful about getting caught up on this sort of heavy hammerhead play, as AP, ammo, and rockets, as well as hammerheads, are a very good combination. Might be able to snipe down a Devour tank or two. Nothing too huge here, although losing a couple of hammerheads would be a pretty big deal, as Green Zero does not want to be losing too many of those, although he is softening, he is allowing a lot of these hammerheads to get completely softened up. Going to be selling off a refinery or two, and the first hammerhead just fell, I do believe. It's hard to tell exactly. A couple of Gunwalkers going to be trying to swing around. I thought they were going to be going for a flank, but it actually was just a misclick from MasterLeaf. Green Zero doing a pretty good job of staying out of range, just coming barely in range enough to fire off some rockets, and then just immediately retreating and taking minimal damage versus these units. And Gunwalkers might be able to target down a couple of more of these hammerheads. No! Actually, at this point, Green Zero may not have even lost a single hammerhead. He's got a couple of that are dangerously close. I think he's lost at least one, but MasterLeaf just cannot target fire them down effectively enough. Do we have tier 3? Yes, it is going to be a Sonic Minder on the front line, able to take down 4 of those Gunwalkers all in one shot, and suddenly 2 more, a total of 6 in 2 shots. This army is suddenly colossally weaker than it used to be. We have the Storm Rider transition, as is to be expected. Storm Riders, if they get a good angle and if they're able to really do some serious splash damage, they should be able to take down a lot of these hammerheads, although this is so many Storm Riders. I think he's going for 12, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, only 12, not 16, at least not just yet. And also looking to be establishing his third base. Green Zero needs to be doing the same relatively soon. Going to be getting repairs on his hammerheads, which is exactly what he needs to do. A total of 10, sending out an Orca Strike as well. Going to be calling that in on the Warp Sphere. However, is he going to be able to deal with all of these Storm Riders, which are just, I'm guessing they're here just camping this field, waiting for the harvester, rather, the MCV just to show up. As soon as the MCV shows up on Raider, oh man, it is going to be getting caked so quickly, and it'll just be completely owned there. And yeah, other than that, these Storm Riders will be able to take it out extremely efficiently. However, MasterLeaf is going to be pulling them back across the map, and MasterLeaf likely not going to be actually going for that Tiberium Spike. He's instead going to be deciding to kill it. The MCV now out on the move. It will be able to set up this third base for Green Zero. And both of these players, they have pretty interesting air army composition. However, oh, the slingshot transition should be enough to give Green Zero the edge over MasterLeaf, as he does get some free damage there. It looks like he already does have tungsten shells. Yes, he already bought that upgrade. Snipes down one engineer, but that's not the sort of damage you want to be doing. Sniping down the MCV would be absolutely great. However, tungsten shells, AA batteries should be able to chase these away. The Storm Rider's going to be on the run. However, plasma missile batteries are also pretty good. Might be able to snipe down one of these Devourer tanks. Not really going to be that big of a deal if he is able to. However, taking down the power plants is a much bigger deal, and going for a couple of harvester skills on the third base might actually be worth it, as goodness, we do have a fully heroic unit on the field, and I guess that was just a rocket trooper. Yes, it was going to be just a rocket trooper. The Storm Rider's going to be coming back in here. The angle isn't quite good enough for MasterLeaf just to straight up engage with these 3 slingshots here. Going to be holding off virtually the entire army of MasterLeaf, since so much of his army is purely airborne units. He might need some Devourer tanks to just sacrifice themselves to take out the slingshots, or if he can get some more good shots off like that with the Storm Riders, he might be able to engage straight up with the hammerheads with his Storm Riders. It's going to be a very close battle regardless. We do have more slingshots on the way for Green Zero. Reforming his army. We'll have to see if he's able to do enough damage. A couple of more hammerheads could go down. So many of them are in the red and the yellow. However, oh, the slingshots getting some very good shots off there with that tungsten shells. They're just so powerful versus those Storm Riders. And Green Zero looks like he lost all of his rock heads, and he's only got the rifleman squads in those hammerheads. But the Mecha-Pede transition with a whole bunch of anti-air segments could be super powerful versus these hammerheads. Two of them are currently out on the field. Green Zero is still holding on to his AA batteries. Neither one of these players is actually captured until just in a couple of seconds here. Neither one of these players has actually captured the Tiberium Spike that they now basically have control over. I mean, there is literally nothing Green Zero can do to stop MasterLeaf from capturing that Tiberium Spike, but now MasterLeaf does not have any Tiberium Spikes, and Green Zero does have two, as he's going to be transferring up those 7 harvesters on those 2 refineries. Not going to be that big of a deal since he didn't have to spend money on any of those harvesters. Normally you would like to get that 7 and 3, but then it would be 7 and 8. And whoa, a couple of Mecha-Pedes going to be swarming in here. The lightning spike getting thrown down as well just to absorb a couple of these shots from the hammerheads. The hammerheads might actually be better served trying to engage the Mecha-Pedes. Never mind, as so many of those disc launchers will allow the Mecha-Pedes to just completely take down the hammerheads. Of course, that may mean that versus structures or other vehicles, that Mecha-Pedes won't be quite as good, but they will be very powerful versus the hammerheads. And Green Zero really going for an interesting build here, just mass hammerheads, followed up with slingshots and really nothing else. The Marv, where the Reclamator Hub is on the field, but the Marv is not out. However, the Eradicator Hexapod now out on the field. Are we going to be seeing any sort of mastermind for MasterLeaf, or will he simply not build any of his hero infantry units, which would be quite unusual? Going to be moving his MCV. I'm not entirely sure what he plans on doing with this. My only guess would really be trying to push with some sort of base defenses or seeing if he can reestablish himself at the old main of Green Zero. Green Zero doing a great job of staying on top of that Tiberium harvesting, as is MasterLeaf. They're keeping their mains and their naturals completely mined out. Green Zero does have a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 credits there or so, going to be just sitting around not getting harvested. However, hammerheads now here, and oh, the plasma missile battery gets thrown down right in the midst of them, but they're at completely full health, so they won't be taken down by that plasma missile battery. Green Zero reacting too quickly to allow that to happen, and now these two players going to be once again on opposite sides of the map, separated this time left to right instead of top to bottom. MasterLeaf deciding to hang on to all of these gravity stabilizers in case he wants to go ahead and make some more Storm Riders. Hasn't decided to sell those off just yet. Storm Riders getting taken out here and there, as I think that was the last Storm Rider on the map. A couple of more are likely being rebuilt. No, there is still one here. None of them are being rebuilt just yet. Mecha-Pede's going to be engaging this Harvester, so that both of these players doing a fair job of going hit for hit. However, oh, almost losing one of the entire Mecha-Pedes. He's going to be phasing the Mecha-Pedes to keep them alive a little bit longer. Might actually be able to get some crushes. And now we do have the actual Zocom units really being used, because other than the ceramic armor upgrade, not a whole lot of unique Zocom units have been used, but now we do have the Zone Raiders in an additional 5 hammerheads here, as Green Zero really wants to make this hammerhead play work, and I do not blame him. Of course, with Zocom, it can be difficult to overcome even just the... Oh, goodness, losing a hammerhead there. Even just difficult to overcome some of the factions. And with that shard launcher upgrade, these plasma missile batteries do so much damage versus air units. However, with the Orca Strike coming in, he was able to take that down. Loses 2 more hammerheads. Goodness, that is a ton of damage output from that plasma missile battery. It definitely paid for itself. Mecha-Pede's going to be repairing themselves and rebuilding those segments, while on the left side, Green Zero desperately trying to work down some of those plasma missile batteries so that he can actually get in there and engage. Instead, is going to be going for the airfields. Cannot say that I blame him, as MasterLeaf really should have sold those off a couple of minutes ago. MasterLeaf still has not captured or killed that Tiberium Spike. Really, at this point, it's almost ridiculous how long that's been up there. MasterLeaf going to be power microing, making sure that he's able to keep those defenses online, as they're the only thing really keeping this base alive. And going for really any sort of ground army, even if it's just pit bulls or APCs, wouldn't be too bad of an idea. Composite armor is done. Tiberium field suits. No, composite armor is going to be, of course, vanilla GDI. Tiberium field suits instead, and calling in the Tiberium Meteor, because it does lay down some Tiberium field, and I don't know if that's worth $4,000 of Tiberium. We'll have to see if it actually ends up laying down that much Tiberium. A couple of more Mechapedes do get sniped down there. I don't think that's actually $4,000 worth of Tiberium. You need 3 loads at least to get back your money from 3 full loads of Tiberium in those harvesters to try to get back your money from dropping that support power. But sniping down a couple of harvesters will definitely be worth it for Green Zero. He could have actually been taking a lot of damage from that Tiberium meteor, considering he just rolled up here with a ton of infantry. Instantly going to be evacuating those units with the Buzzer Hive and the Buzzer Swarm support power. Rather, they were able to just completely kill 2 of those foxholes full of units. And Green Zero going to be reverse moving into the opponent. And instead, he's going to be utilizing his double engineer, double zone raider Marv. Possibly going to be doing just straight up battle with the Eradicator Hexpod. Wouldn't be a good idea considering how much damage his Marv has already taken. Are there any hammerheads left on the map? I'm not entirely sure. Yes, he does have a ton of hammerheads over there. He could be doing massive damage. However, the EMP grenades are going to be good enough. Green Zero actually going to be using that EMP grenade ability, which is absolutely great, and could possibly do some damage there to that Eradicator Hexpod with the hammerheads. We'll have to see if he's actually able to do it. The EMP grenade's not going to be split between the 2 units. Instead, Green Zero going to be losing the Marv, and the Eradicator Hexpod will still stand. However, Green Zero is going to be trying to do as much damage as he can. Unfortunately, it will not be enough. The hammerheads, where are they? They're completely over here. Unfortunately for Green Zero, with the plasma missile batteries every which way on MasterLeaf's bases, he just can't do a whole lot of damage. The signal transmitter is down, but do we actually have any planetary assault carriers in production? I do not think so. The ion cannon slowly counting down for Green Zero as he's going to try to either force MasterLeaf to engage or try to force him to just simply die to the ion cannon, which is kind of surprising. We've actually seen ion cannons in a couple of previous games, as you do not see them very often. The Eradicator Hexpod has to be very, very careful. I believe he does have those 3 shock trooper squads inside of him, which means he can go ahead and hit those aircraft and, of course, take down the hammerheads without too much problem. Although I think with that many hammerheads, Green Zero could probably engage straight up and end up winning. I do not know how efficient that would end up being, as hammerheads are fairly expensive, and of course the zone raiders inside of them just jacking that price up even further. We do have him calling in the reinforcements, going to be getting some riflemen and rocket squads to help take down, although he has already taken down 1 of those. I don't actually know what happened there. It must have been the plasma missile battery was able to do enough damage to just that far, just the far Ox transport to take it down. The Eradicator Hexpod going to be taking a lot of damage from these hammerheads. It's probably going to end up getting taken out. Green Zero actually decides to use that sonic support power on his own units. The wormhole going to be teleporting that Eradicator Hexapod back home. So actually, MasterLeaf going to be able to save his Eradicator Hexapod there. Unfortunately for Green Zero, he wasn't able to just completely smash it like he would have. Good use of the 1-click there by MasterLeaf. Green Zero could be taking down this refinery with his units if he chose. Needs to make sure that he stays on top of these fields, which he's doing a pretty darn good job of it. And now he does have some late game eco, since he did not harvest it all in the earlier stages. Well, he didn't stay completely on top of it in the earlier stages. He did harvest it all initially, but after that, not so much. And once again, going to be moving out. Where is the mastermind? Is there actually a mastermind? Yes, it is on the field, just hiding behind that barracks, which means that this Eradicator Hexpod will have another teleportation possibility opening up for him. Green Zero now going to be working on that extractor. The refinery should be going down in a couple of seconds there, 30 seconds to a minute roughly. And Green Zero going to be able to completely snipe down the Corruptors. A good move there by him. And MasterLeaf needs desperately some way to deal with these hammerheads, and one way would just be going for mass gunwalkers, which shardwalkers as they are now, since they do have that shard upgrade. However, it's not going to be very cost effective, and he would just need so many of them to be able to directly engage. Green Zero going to be able to do huge amounts of damage at the last second there. The Mastermind whisks away that Eradicator Hexapod, able to just completely keep it alive. MasterLeaf going to be reestablishing his main. Green Zero needs to get out of there absolutely. And Annihilator Tripods is an interesting choice for MasterLeaf, considering how much air power that Green Zero does in fact have. MasterLeaf is like, you know what, I'm going to get some stuff that cannot shoot air and that will just simply be taken out. However, what he can do is use the Gunwalkers to try to focus down the Hammerheads while his Annihilator Tripods actually work on the units and or buildings. As Green Zero has rebuilt the Marv right there. It is now out on the field, the exact same build, the Engineers with the Zone Raiders as well. And look at that, getting himself 2 Grenadier squads. And of course, since he's Zocom, he does have those EMP grenades that he can utilize to help lock down the Eradicator Hexpod and also lock down the Annihilator Tripod wherever it is. And then, of course, the Annihilator Tripod won't be able to continually EMP his Marv. So Green Zero going to be looking to be in a pretty good position if he does, in fact, utilize his Hammerheads. And whether that be in a direct engagement or even just coming in here and trying to take down some of these power plants. Actually, this appears to be a bit of a hole in MasterLeaf's armor. He might be able to just swing in through up here, basically just swing in around the back and take down some of these power plants before he takes too much damage on the Hammerheads. The Hammerheads going to be swinging in here. They are able to snipe down one power plant almost completely there. The Rocket Trooper, wherever it was, getting that final shot off. These two players could actually be looking at a base trade situation. However, no, MasterLeaf is going to be pulling back for the engagement, and Green Zero might be able to pick off a couple of these units. Yes, he should be able to pick off a couple of these units at least. One Gunwalker does go down. MasterLeaf not controlling as well as he could. However, oh, the Eradicator Hexpod hasn't taken a lot of damage here. The Marv is taking so much damage from the rear armor there. And Green Zero is like, hey, you know what? I don't even care about rear armor. I will just go ahead and take damage to the rear armor if I have to. The Eradicator Hexpod could get taken out in a matter of moments. And actually almost getting taken out there by the Hammerheads. The engagement has to be just perfect for Green Zero. And with the Gunwalkers on the front line now, the Annihilator Tripod can actually just EMP this Marv as soon as it gets open. However, those EMP grenades are actually going to be too good. Green Zero able to just pick apart these Gunwalkers and just pull them down one by one. He needs to make sure that he's able to take down these Annihilator Tripod before he actually gets EMPs. The EMP does get off on from the Annihilator Tripod onto the Marv. However, Green Zero able to take down both of those Annihilator Tripods, going to be sending in one of the Harvesters, possibly just a bad rally point from that Harvester as it's trying to find some Tiberium to harvest. Yes, it indeed is. I thought maybe he was sending it in to hopefully distract MasterLeaf and say, hey, come on, take down this Harvester instead of trying to take down the Marv. But no, it is going to be the Marv just pulling back in full retreat. MasterLeaf going to be throwing down another Plasma Missile Battery, and the Marv does go down right there. MasterLeaf able to snipe down a second Marv, hasn't lost his Eradicator Hexpod even once in this game, I do believe, and MasterLeaf going to be just able to take down so much of Green Zero's units, so many of Green Zero's units, rather. Another Harvester will get taken out, but Green Zero doesn't actually have any Tiberium on his half of the map. Going to be expanding with an outpost to MasterLeaf's old main, and the Ion Cannon only 30 seconds left on it. However, the Hammerhead's going to be getting their full repairs, and this is likely going to be the last hurrah of Green Zero. If he's not able to break MasterLeaf with this Ion Cannon Hammerhead combo, he may not be able to take this game, but we'll have to see as he's reestablishing himself on this field and suddenly just transferring over 5 Harvesters. Not the most efficient ratio, but going to be able to do some damage to that Harvester. Also going to be saying to MasterLeaf, hey, guess what? I'm up here taking down your Harvesters. You better come do something about it. Which actually, if the Eradicator Hexpod and any of the Gunwalkers, there is the Ion Cannon going to be firing off, taking on down a lot of the buildings of MasterLeaf. I did almost completely miss that, but MasterLeaf going to be losing quite a few of his buildings there. Still does somehow have enough power to run all of these Plasma Missile Batteries, as the Hammerheads haven't swung in just yet. They're actually on the north side. Should be able to take down this Eradicator Hexpod if it gets too far away from the Plasma Missile Batteries. Really, the only thing keeping MasterLeaf in this game is the splash damage from those Plasma Missile Batteries, because they're just so powerful against the Hammerheads. Even with the ceramic armor, they just do so much damage. And the Mastermind may be utilized down south here to whisk away that Eradicator Hexpod, as Green Zero can definitely take it out. He's getting very cautious here. He doesn't want to lose too many of these Hammerheads. He could actually split them into 2 groups, and so they wouldn't be quite as bunched up, and the splash damage wouldn't be quite as potent from this Eradicator Hexpod. There's the transform, rather the teleportation back into the wonderful healing graces of those Corruptors, as MasterLeaf able to once again whisk away that Eradicator Hexapod, saving it from the death clutches of Green Zero. Green Zero not really deciding to cannibalize his base too much. He's mostly just keeping a hold of it, and he doesn't want to sell too much of it off in case he needs some of those production structures. Of course, some players do like to basically sell something off as soon as they can, and then just to get that cash back, they're always looking to try to get ahead. MasterLeaf going to be dropping down more money because he apparently doesn't have enough to work with here, as he's caught so many harvesters full of Tiberium that he can't actually refine it all. He's just got so much there. Shockwave Artillery going to be trying to lock down that Eradicator Hexapod, I'm guessing, as I think that it did just get teleported back once again. Green Zero going for an additional barracks. I'm assuming he's just going to sell off his stuff down here because he already has it replicated on the north side. Going to be able to snipe down one of those Annihilator Tripods. Might actually just want to go for the Eradicator Hexapod, as it was recently teleported, I believe. So he could once again split his army in two and then maybe go for a dual-pronged attack and try to engage from two different angles. However, MasterLeaf now going to be displaying a couple of plasma missile batteries right in the middle there. So Green Zero is essentially not going to be able to engage. Of course, hard to really engage with anything other than air as Zocom, as Green Zero is going to really just try to make this Hammerhead play work. Not even going to be going for any of those Zocom Orcas for any sort of really just building snipes, as they're not too great versus hitting moving targets, but sniping down some of these buildings, even going for the MCV, wouldn't be too terrible of an idea. And Green Zero, I don't even know. I was going to say maybe he could be more active with these Hammerheads, but it's really hard to actually be any more active than he's already been. There's been a couple of points where he could, but losing so much there to those plasma missile batteries. They're just so ridiculously powerful, and with MasterLeaf constantly repairing that Eradicator Hexapod, trying to get some lucky kills here, he was like, well, maybe if I throw this down way onto the range of Green Zero, I might be able to just take it down. The EMP grenades are not going to be good enough. He completely misses there. He was not able to EMP that Eradicator and really swing in there and do some damage. And oh, the Buzzer Hive going to be getting thrown down there. MasterLeaf not able to do enough damage to really eliminate those Grenadier squads, as Green Zero is going to be able to lock down the Eradicator Hexapod. This is the moment as it does become completely elite. And where are the Hammerheads? They're way over there, as they did have a moment there where I think they should be able to hit that Eradicator outside of the damage range of many of those plasma missile batteries, but Green Zero simply not engaging almost at all. And the Eradicator Hexapod going to be moving in now, as the airfield does go down pretty much in one shot. And Green Zero is like, well, you know what, forget about it. I'm just going to rush in here, see what damage I can do. Decides to pull out as he realizes that is a mistake. Green Zero may actually be out of this game, as the third Marv does now enter the field. Somehow Green Zero going to have enough money to really pull that off. Might be able to save. Was he able to save any of these harvesters? I don't think so. They may have already been transferred away. And these Hammerheads simply not able to do enough damage directly to Green Zero, or to MasterLeaf's base. Green Zero not able to really get the snipes on the power plants that he wants. He's really just looking to snipe down those power plants, take the plasma missile batteries online, and then end this game, as MasterLeaf isn't in a strong position to actually move out away from the protection of his plasma missile battery. He can't do anything outside of his base. He's just sitting here kind of waiting, and he probably was just cooking food at this point, making dinner, and he's like, well, I'll just outwait Green Zero because he can't engage directly into my plasma missile batteries. Green Zero going to be going for another Orca Strike, trying to take down some of these plasma missile batteries, constantly attacking them with rifleman squads. At the very least, going to be forcing the repairs and those extra resources to be used. But with an Eradicator Hexapod being backed up by plasma missile batteries, Annihilator Tripods, and now Devastator warships, it's going to be a tough base to crack. Mechapedes going to be on the way as well, especially with Green Zero adamant not to build tanks and just give away veterancy to MasterLeaf. He is going to be rolling in with the Marv, and of course that is going to be a pretty solid choice. And other than getting out that Reclamator Hub, I don't think he actually really kept the tech center around for anything other than got tungsten shells, and he's been rebuilding the Marv, which, I mean, he technically doesn't even need the tech center for that. He could sell it off and still rebuild the Marv, but that is kind of a moot point, as Green Zero going to be heading in here, gets stasis right there, as MasterLeaf doesn't want his MCV to go down. not able to focus down enough plasma missile batteries for the Hammerheads to actually pull in here and actually do some real damage. Oh, 2 plasma missile batteries do go down there. Green Zero able to react in time, as that was very close. MasterLeaf could be able to take this game just by turtling hardcore alone. And the 30-second timer is now active once again, and constant EMPs from MasterLeaf will ensure that a third Marv does go down from Green Zero. Green Zero so frustrated at this point. I'm almost surprised that he hasn't just GG'd out of this game and saying, hey, you know what, I'm tired of dealing with this. But instead, MasterLeaf isn't too strong of a position for Green Zero to actually crack. He's been camping this third base so well and re-expanding to the natural as well. Might actually be re-expanding to his main after that. We'll have to see where's the ion cannon going to be used. Hasn't fired off just quite yet. We will catch it this time. Going to be going for the power plants. A great choice. Sells off a lot of stuff. MasterLeaf gets to sell off on everything, which is essentially the exact same thing that he did last time. And this is the moment Green Zero needs to move in. The Hammerheads are completely out of position. I don't know why he keeps doing this. He's firing the ion cannon, and then suddenly MasterLeaf is just having to spam out a million power plants. Green Zero had his Hammerheads absolutely nowhere near the base of MasterLeaf. He's not actually even going to be going for the Eradicator Hexapod. Going to be able to do some damage. No, he was basically just able to take down the shields of that Devastator warship. Wasn't actually able to do too much other than that. And, well, now MasterLeaf has rebuilt enough power plants so that he can once again sustain his massive grid of electricity that he has. And I think that Harvester was a little bit bugged there. Green Zero taking a little bit of damage on those Hammerheads, not too crazy much. And as you can see, MasterLeaf power microing a little bit, just keeping that refinery offline so he doesn't have to provide power to it. Eradicator Hexapod slowly, ever so slowly, chasing down these Hammerheads, as this really is just a game of cat and mouse, or rather a game of, like, who can crack the castle first, as neither one of these players is able to do enough damage to take down their opponent. And that is actually just kind of hilarious how little damage those Mechapedes do with those disc launchers. They will annihilate Hammerheads, but against buildings, they just hardly do any damage at all. The Hammerheads are going to be going down. I think 2 of them did go down there, 2 Zone Heads, rather, as that is going to be very expensive for Green Zero. Green Zero selling off the War Factory. He really didn't need it. He wasn't utilizing it for anything. Not any sort of pit bulls, not even APCs, which would be pretty good even versus these base defenses. Just throw in some rifleman squads, and it wouldn't be too bad for taking down some of these base defenses and then allowing the Hammerheads to slip in. We do have possibly a base trade situation, as we have the Marv on one side, Eradicator Hexapod on the other, Gunwalkers in support. Otherwise, this Eradicator Hexapod would simply just get taken out, as the range... Oh, is it going to be Shockwave Artillery? Yes, it is. Locks down all 3 of those Corruptors. MasterLeaf not reacting in time. He's going to be taking massive damage on the EMP to Eradicator Hexapod, which he should not be able to whisk that away with the Oh, the phase field activates just in time, and that orbital strike is now completely useless, as MasterLeaf was able to just walk right out of it, and the ion cannon may not get a chance to fire a 3rd time, but MasterLeaf is going to be taking damage on his main. He's going to be possibly losing some units and buildings to these Hammerheads. The Hammerheads probably can't outrange the the plasma missile batteries for that drone ship. Man, there's just no real angle of approach for Green Zero in this game. MasterLeaf is just defending way too well. He's throwing down way too many buildings, and he's staying on top of keeping his Eradicator Hexapod alive. He is controlled pretty well to keep that Eradicator Hexapod alive this long. However, he will be losing his drone platform because, spoiler alert, plasma missile batteries, good as they may be, are absolutely terrible versus anything on the ground, which is, of course, going to be very beneficial for Green Zero, as now he's going to be able to work down these plasma missile batteries, but more importantly, he's taking down the MCV, which was allowing MasterLeaf to just throw down 2 plasma missile batteries at a time, as he was rocking that dual MCV for quite a while. And this game continually pressing on into the 35-minute mark, as these 2 players, neither one of them really able to crack each other, but I think this may be it. MasterLeaf is going to be forced to make a final stand. He doesn't have any more Corruptors to heal up this... Well, never mind. He does have a Corruptor right there to heal up the Eradicator Hexpod. The Mastermind is still on the field, so maybe he could capture something on the ground, but other than the Marv, which can't be captured, and he could capture that Rifleman squad. That would be a great asset for MasterLeaf. No, just kidding. It wouldn't actually be a big deal at all. Green Zero going to be able to Marvis the old third base of MasterLeaf and then be able to go on and take down that technology assembler, and MasterLeaf just playing tower defense style with these hammerheads, not actually getting any like anti-ground tower defenses, as he wasn't really having any need to, as Green Zero has really only built one unit as Zocom. Well, actually a couple of different units, but primarily one unit. There goes that Tiberium Spike that took MasterLeaf oh so long to capture. Green Zero going to be looking to move in for that final engagement. And MasterLeaf, can he hold off the power of the Zero? And can he do what it... Does he have what it takes to take down a single vet Marv versus the Elite Eradicator Hexpod being constantly repaired? Does he still have... Yep, he does still have the Space Command uplink, so he will be possibly able to call down the EMPs on top of this army, and maybe even orbital bombardment if he can. There is going to be the Shockwave Artillery firing off. It does lock down that Eradicator Hexpod. This is the one and pretty much the only chance that Green Zero is going to have to really take down this Eradicator Hexpod. The angle is absolutely great. MasterLeaf isn't actually supporting it with any of the Gunwalkers. All of the Corruptors are going to be going down. The MasterLeaf is probably going to be teleport right there. Teleports it away. Of course he does. He does not want to lose that Eradicator Hexpod. One of the few things keeping him in this game is his massive defense and his ability to keep that Eradicator Hexapod alive, because the Eradicator Hexapod, with those, especially with Gunwalker support, can contend the Marv pretty readily. Oh, MasterLeaf actually mass selling off, so he's completely out of money, possibly looking to get himself some more of those Corruptors. Might actually be able to pick off one of these hammerheads. No, he's not actually able to, and instead it's going to be throwing away a plasma missile battery to the Marv. Finally, the engagement that we have been waiting for, possibly able to pick off one or two power plants. The Gunwalkers are going to be heading forward. If they get too far forward, they are going to be getting picked off by the Marv. A couple of them taking some shots from that Marv, but the Eradicator Hexpod able to do some damage to the Marv. Good shots off there by Green Zero. MasterLeaf not able to outrange the hammerheads with the Gunwalkers. Unfortunately for MasterLeaf, he is going to be able to chase away that Marv, though, which is going to be great for him. The splash damage too good. Green Zero needs to rush in here right now and do the damage to the Marv. He's still scared of those shock troopers inside of that Marv. He's going to be going for the... No, the Marv does get taken out. He's going to be going for the Corruptors, healing the Eradicator Hexpod, which is now at that fully epic status. Very difficult to do, but it is likely going to be getting teleported away in the last second here, as Green Zero staying on top of his control and desperately trying to just micro to his heart's desire and content to keep his hammerheads alive. The Eradicator Hexapod healing so quickly, teleporting away right there as the fourth... Oh, right. What actually happened there? I think that was just a little bit of a glitch there, as the ion cannon fires for the third time in this game. And once again, Green Zero missing the opportunity to come in here and do some damage with his hammerheads there. A little bit of a glitch there. Is that actually going to be an Orca Strike coming in? I would think that that's exactly what it is going to be. Almost a complete miss there for Green Zero as we head into the 50-minute mark. And that ion cannon has basically been fired an unprecedented amount of times. MasterLeaf not wanting to just leave this game against Green Zero. Green Zero similarly wanting to overcome MasterLeaf and just take him down. MasterLeaf is like, I'm not leaving the game that easy. You're not going to be able to take me down easily. I'm going to fight for this win. And moving out with that Eradicator Hexapod, really the only thing that he does have. Green Zero is at the point. MasterLeaf has so little money that he could possibly pick off some of those power plants. And goodness, massive amounts of those AP watchtowers going to be protecting that ion control. A couple of tungsten AA batteries as well. And now the Eradicator Hexapod has definitely been spotted for Green Zero. He knows exactly that this is here. However, his hammerheads are going to be just skipping around it, possibly looking to do some main base damage. Will get the snipe, insta-snipe on. Oh, that has got to be it for MasterLeaf. As he loses the MCV, he won't be able to build any more power plants and won't be able to build any more base defenses as Green Zero is going to be heading in here. Will the Mastermind teleport this away, the Eradicator Hexapod away? I should think so. At this point, that he would be able to just take away that Eradicator Hexapod. And one Hammerhead does go down, but trading a Hammerhead for this Eradicator Hexapod, finally able to take it out. No, it teleports away. MasterLeaf really does not want to give this game up. Although at this point, I do not think that he can survive. MCV versus no MCV is a pretty easy game to win when your opponent literally cannot do anything but sit here and repair. MasterLeaf can't expand. Green Zero can. Green Zero can start to take back the map. He's still got harvesters. He's still got a buttload of buildings that he could sell off. Needs to snipe down another power plant. Just maybe even suiciding a couple of units in here. At this point, he could actually just afford to just send in a massive amount of Predator tanks. And he could just say, you know what? YOLO, let's do it. This is how we're going to end this game. Loses one Hammerhead there. Snipes down the power plant. That's exactly what he needs. He just needs to come in here and finish MasterLeaf. And MasterLeaf is going to be knowing absolutely he is over and done with. 40-something minutes in this game. As MasterLeaf getting defeated there by Green Zero, albeit narrowly. Green Zero certainly had to fight for that right to take the win off of MasterLeaf. In the end, a pretty even economic game between these two players, and overall 40 minutes, 17 seconds. Pretty good unit kill-to-death ratio there for Green Zero. That is to be expected. A lot of units thrown away there for MasterLeaf, but Green Zero was controlling nearly impeccably well, but not quite exactly well. A total of about 20,000 credits, almost exactly, between these two players over a 40-minute game, only 500 credits per minute. They were extremely evenly matched in the economic game. Very, very similar openers. Again, another game that's just like macro-oriented. It's like, if you want to know how to open a game in a really standard style and just go for that economic game, this is the perfect game pretty much. These two players playing it out pretty well. In the end, they both kind of went for unusual strategies. MasterLeaf not going for his regular shenaniganry of just total domination with mind powers, and Green Zero going to be utilizing Zocom in a, well, not a way that we see very much. Even with all of the drawbacks of Zocom, a lot of players don't actually go for that strong Hammerhead play, which I really liked here from Green Zero. MasterLeaf with the incredible defense there. He was like, no, I am simply not going to be making any big mistakes. You want to take me down, you are going to have to do it straight up in my face, in my base, with my defenses. He was playing very, very smartly there. A lot of players, they're just get a little bit impatient, and they're like, hey, you know what, I'm going to move out. I don't even care about this. But MasterLeaf playing this out very well. These two players, maybe that game was definitely about 20 minutes too long. But that will do it for this game. This is Sybert signing out.